Okay, we should be having sound now. Type in chat if you have sound. Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you, brother Yafi. Thank y'all for hanging in there. We had some sound. It was in here on recording music and had the sound settings all off. So praise y'all. Toda for that, brother Yafi. So we're going to go ahead and start over. So again, we're Savior Word of YAH, Tabernacles of the Congregation of Yisrael. This is our weekly Bible study. And today we are doing the holy days, marking the Moadim. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the scriptures. We're going to see what YAH's appointed days are, and then we're going to translate that over into the current Gregorian calendar. All right. So first we're going to open up in Leviticus chapter 23. YAH chapter 23. And we're going to start this at verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, let me go ahead and share the screen. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them concerning the feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts. Okay, so here we have an issue. In the King James here, where it says feasts, the Hebrew word that was there for feasts was moadim. Moadim, that's not feasts. Moade, which is H4150, is appointed time or season. These are Yah's appointed time. So by saying feast here, it makes it sound like everything here is a feast. But as we go through these appointed times, you're going to see everything here is not a feast. For example, you have atonement. Atonement, we don't eat. We afflict ourselves. So that's not a feast day, but that's an appointed time. So that's kind of a poor translation there. Verse 3, 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is a Shabbat of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Shabbat of Yahweh in all your dwellings. So now that makes sense. So you can see why he's starting off with the Shabbat, because that's his first appointed time. That's the first thing he hallowed. On the seventh day, he rested and he hallowed that day. So this is his appointed time. So this is what's important to Yahweh. So the things that are important to Yahweh, you want to make it important to you, especially as he commanded us to observe these dates. So we want the things that's important to us to be important to him. We want our families to be safe. We want to go back into our homeland. We want to be prosperous. We want to be healthy. We want all these things. That's important to us. So we want to make sure the things that are important to Yah, we make important to us as well by setting these days apart. So the Shabbat is the first set apart day. So the next is Leviticus 23 and verse 4. These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is Yahweh's Pesach. Now here again, where it says at even, if you look at the Hebrew word that's there, it's bain. Bain means between. So when it's saying on the 14th day at even, H996, that Hebrew word is bain, which means between. So again, that's a poor translation they gave. So on the 14th day between even is Yahweh's Passover. So between the 14th and the 15th is when you do your Passover rites. And then verse 6, and on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread, matzah, unto Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. All right, so praise Yah. So the 14th day is the preparation of Pesach. So that's the 14th of Abib. And then the 15th of Abib when you actually have the Passover feast is the first day of unleavened bread. Now, you can't just take a calendar and say, oh, well, April 15th, we're going to start there. Or on March 15th. It doesn't work that way. You have to translate it over because they change times. They start their day at midnight. They start the year in January. I mean, it's just all off. They got 365 days in their year. And then some years they got 366. So the calendar will never match. So what we have to do is we have to look at a regular calendar and we have to mark, where does your new year start? That's why the previous class we did over New Year, how to calculate the new year and how to calculate the months. So as you calculate the new year and you calculate the months, now you can take this information here in Torah and you can start to track when YAH's appointed times are. You don't have to go Google and get the Jewish days or have to go into a camp and just use their calendar. You could check and make sure that you're following it properly, because every man must seek his own salvation with fear and trembling. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up a regular calendar. So we're going to stop this share. We did the first 2 holy days. We're going to pull up a regular calendar. And we're going to share that. All right. So I'm putting up a 2022 calendar. And if you're on your cell phone, go ahead and take a screenshot of this calendar. So this is just the 2022 Gregorian calendar. Take a screenshot of this. That way, as we go through this and we start to count the holy days, you can get used to doing this, because it takes a few times before you get it, because it's like using a legend on a map or doing an equation, because you're trying to transfer holy days, YAH's appointed time, with Babylon calendar. So that's why it's called Babylon's confusion. All right. So again, we had the equal day and equal night. The last 12-hour, the 12-hour day happened on the 15th, according to our calculation. So Tuesday, the 15th, was the equal day, equal night. That means Tuesday night began Abib. So that's what you want to start with. So this is with all your days in Hebrew starting at night. So Tuesday night is Abib day 1. So that's Tuesday, March 15th. So what you're going to do is you're going to count 14 days, with Tuesday being the first one. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 is March 28th. March 28th would be the preparation day for Pesach. That's the 14th of Abib. So in between evenings, so in between here, the 28th and the 29th is when you're doing your Passover stuff. So as we go into Pesach, we'll go over that, the things that we do with Passover and what our ancestors did, and what's we memorialized. So the 28th is the 14th, the 28th at night, Monday night. Then the 29th is the 15th. So the 29th is your unleavened bread day 1. That's when you have your Passover feast, Tuesday night. So our Pesach feast will be March 29th, Tuesday night. All right, so let's see how long that feast is. All right, so let's go back to the scripts. We're at Leviticus chapter 23, and we're at verse 7. So let's start verse 6 again. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. Verse 7. In the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. So anytime Yah says we're having a holy convocation, a Kodesh Mikra, that's just like the Shabbat. On the Shabbat, that was the first set apart day. He said, you shall have a Kodesh Mikra, which is a holy gathering, a rehearsal. So a reading, you're supposed to come together, read and rehearse coming together at Yah's word and read his scripts, read his Torah, his law. So on the 15th day of Abib, which is the 30th, that's when you're going to have your Feast of Unleavened Bread, a holy convocation. So that means that Wednesday of the daytime, if you work during the daytime, you will be off. You're not supposed to work. It says you cannot do any servile work. It's a Sabbathon. A Sabbathon is a day that is appointed by Yah that is treated like a Sabbath, but it's not the seventh day of the week. That is a Sabbathon. That is what the in the resurrection week that the Jewish people were talking about. They were saying, hey, we want to make sure that we get him down before the Sabbathon, because it was going to be unleavened bread. It was going to be the Passover feast. So they couldn't have blood and funerals. It's a holy day. It's a Kodesh Mikra. You have to go into the temple. So they couldn't do it. Now, that couldn't have been an actual Sabbath, like an actual Saturday, because then how could he rise the first day? That doesn't make any sense. If it was a Saturday after he was tortured on the torture stake, then how are you going to rise 3 days later? And it was the first day of the week. So that lets you know it wasn't a Sabbath that they were talking about, a high Sabbath. They were talking about a Sabbathon. All right, so verse 8. But you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh 7 days. In the seventh day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. So for unleavened bread is 7 days long. The first day is a Sabbathon, is treated like a Sabbath. And the last day is treated like a Sabbath. So those 7 days. So let's go back to the calendar and let's count those out so we can see the 7 days of unleavened bread. All right, so we share that calendar again. So remember, March 29th, Tuesday, March 29th, that was your Feast of Unleavened Bread. So that means you'll be off on that 30th, because that first day of unleavened bread, when we eat the Pesach, is a Sabbathon. So the feast is going to be 7 days long. And it's important that you know each day of these feasts, because you're supposed to keep leaven out of your house for those days. So the 29th is the first day, the second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day. So Monday, April 4th will be your seventh day of unleavened bread, which is also treated as a Sabbathon, which means we're supposed to be off work that Tuesday during the daytime if you work in the daytime. And if you work at night, you're off Monday night. So those are your 7 days of unleavened bread. You eat the Pesach, Tuesday the 29th. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There it is. So you want to circle that. Circle Monday, April 4th. That's the Sabbathon. That's the 7th day of unleavened bread. And you want to circle Tuesday, March 29th. That's the first day of Passover. All right, so we're going to go back and get into the scripts. So whatever day you start your new year, whatever, if you're part of one of our camps, or you're part of a group or a family that does the holy days together, whatever your new year day is, which would start at night, if you start your days at night, that is day 1. So you mark that on your calendar as day 1. And that's how you're going to count your days for the month. All right, so we're Leviticus, YAH, chapter 23 and verse 9. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, when you be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Shabbat, the priest shall wave it. So the morrow after the Shabbat is just the first day of the week. It's just a modern day Sunday. So that means on a Sunday, or the first day of the week, which starts on Saturday night, that's when you're going to have your Feast of First Fruits. But notice, he starts off in verse 9 with, and Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, so when he's doing that, he's letting you know, I'm going into a new set of holy days. So you had your 7 days of unleavened bread, then you have to wait to your weekly Shabbat. Because anytime he's referring to the actual Sabbath, he uses the word Shabbat. But when he's referring to a day treated like a Sabbath, it's called a Sabbathon. So this is your weekly Shabbat. So let's go back. We're going to go back and pull up the calendar again. All right, so you have your 7 days of unleavened bread, which Monday, April 4th will be your last day of unleavened bread, where you have a Sabbathon again. You go to your weekly Shabbat, which is April 9th, the morrow after the Shabbat. So that's Sunday, the 10th. So that will be starting Saturday night. So Saturday, April 9th, that's going to be your first fruits, your feast of first fruits, which is Bikorim, feast of first fruits. And Bikor is H1061, Bikkur, the first fruits of the crop. So that's feast of first fruits. All right, so let's go back down, back into the scripts. All right, so Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 12. And you shall offer that day, when you wave the sheaf, a he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahweh. And the meal offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And you shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the self same day that you have brought an offering unto your Elohim. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. So you have your 7 days of unleavened bread. And then from that point of unleavened bread, you can't eat any, from the day of first fruits, you cannot eat any bread. Now, notice bread is lahaim. It's not matzah. It's not talking about unleavened bread. There's a completely different Hebrew word for that. Matzah is unleavened bread. This is lahaim. So this is actual bread with yeast in it. So this cannot be during your feast of unleavened bread, because technically here, once you offer your offering, you can eat bread with leaven, but you can't eat bread with leaven during unleavened bread. So Jewish people, they put this right after the first day of unleavened bread. So they got feast of first fruits in the middle of unleavened bread. Can't be, because here it's telling you you can eat bread after you do your offering. So verse 14, and you shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears until the same day that you have brought an offering unto your Elohim. So this saying, the same day you bring this offering, you can now eat bread. No, that has to be outside of unleavened bread. So that's your first weekly Shabbat after unleavened bread, the day after, the morrow after that. So that's Saturday night. All right, so move on. Leviticus, YAH, chapter 23 and verse 15. So it's saying here now, so it's important that you got your feast of first fruits correct, because you need that to calculate your Pentecost, your feast of weeks. So Leviticus, YAH, chapter 23 and verse 15. And you shall count unto you from the morrow after the Shabbat, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Shabbats shall be complete. Even the day after the 7th Sabbath, you shall number 50 days, and you shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahweh. All right. So now it's telling you to count from the day that you offered your wave offering, your first fruits offering, before you need to count 50 days for Pentecost, or 7 Shabbat shall be complete. So Saturday night is your Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is Sunday. Your first weekly Shabbat that comes after your first fruits, that's 1 week, so forth and so on. And you count till you get to your seventh Shabbat. And the more after that, that's where you get your Pentecost. So let's go look that up. Let's go pull that calendar up again. So again, it's best that you look at this on the calendar so that it makes sense to you, because you're not going to be able to just visualize this in your head unless you're a genius. I mean, you might be able to do it. I can't. I'm visual. Sounding like my wife in there claiming like she can do it. But anyway, but she can do anything. All right. So here we have April 4th being your 7th day of unleavened bread, which means Saturday the 9th with the start of your first fruits. So you're going to count 7 Shabbats. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Shabbats. So May 28th, that's going to be your Pentecost, May 28th. So May 28th at night, that's when you're going to have your Feast of First Fruits, Pentecost. So if you do not start here, April 4th, if you're not starting here, then you're off. So if you're starting in the week of unleavened bread, so you're starting over here, this Wednesday here, and you're doing it here, the next Shabbat is going to be here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're going to be on the 14th. You're going to be way off. So it's not going to add up. So if we go back to our holy days calendar, I want to show you something real quick. Here we see the months when the month starts. So March 15th. That's your New Year's. That's month 1. Month 2, month 3, May 14th. So May 14th starts your 3rd month. So I want to show you something. Show you how spot on we are. So May 14th is the beginning of your 3rd month. So May 14th at night. So let's go back to the calendar. All right, let's pull that calendar up. All right, so May 14th is the middle of your 3rd month. Excuse me, it's the beginning of your 3rd month. So May 14th, right here, we're going to count halfway through this month. So that's going to be about what, 15, 16 days? So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. May 28th is exactly halfway through your 3rd month. So I'm showing you this for a reason. That's the same day that we have our Pentecost, halfway through the 3rd month. So again, May 14th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So May 28th is the middle of the 3rd Hebrew month. So now I want to go take you into Jubilees. We're going to read something in Jubilees real quick. Then we'll go back into Torah. All right, so let's go to Jubilees, Yobelem. This is Jubilees, Yobelem, chapter 15, and this is verse 1. And this is our history when Yahweh was speaking unto Abram and was changing his name from Abram to Abraham and making covenant with him and giving him the land and saying that, you know, he was going to have a seed. So this is happening during Pentecost. All right, so Yobelem, Book of Jubilees, chapter 15 and verse 1. And in the 5th year of the 4th week of this Jubilee, in the 3rd month, in the middle of the month, Abram celebrated the feast of the first fruits of the grain harvest. So Abram is keeping feast of first fruits before Torah, before we have these dates. So he's getting it from somewhere. He's getting it from Enoch. He's getting it from Eber. He's getting it from somebody that's passing this down to him, that he's keeping his first fruits of the grain harvest in the middle of the 3rd month. So remember when we just counted out on the calendar, when we have ours May 28th, with the 14th being the beginning, that brings us to the middle of the 3rd month. So we're keeping first fruits just like Father Abram was. His name ain't even Abraham yet. His name is Abram at this point. So that's another witness that we're keeping our holy days properly and that the Jewish people are not. You can't get the middle of the 3rd month calculating when you're keeping your first fruits like that inside of your unleavened bread. But it's not their culture. So, of course, they're going to do what makes sense to them. All right, so if we go back, the middle of the 3rd month, and keep in mind, the grain harvest is like your wheat. You're offering your wheat harvest is, you know, it's when it's a warmer season. The barley harvest is for Abib, where they wait for the barley to turn green. So that's the 2 different offerings. You got your offering in the 1st month, and now you have your offering in the 3rd month, which is Pentecost. All right, Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 17. You shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2 tenths deals. They shall be of fine flour, and they shall be baking with leaven. They are the first fruits unto Yahweh. So that's why you have your first fruits offering again. But this is not feast of first fruits. This is first fruits of the grain offering, Pentecost. Shabbat, verse 18. And you shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the 1st year, and 1 young bullock and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering unto Yahweh, with their meat offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of sweet savor unto Yahweh. They shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the 1st year for a sacrifice of peace offerings. All right, so we can skip down through that. Actually, we're going to drop down to verse 21. And you shall proclaim on the self same day that it may be a holy convocation unto you. You shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generation. So again, anytime they're saying it will be a holy convocation, a Kodesh Mikra, that means it's a holy gathering, a set apart gathering. We may not work. We're not permitted to work. You shall do no servile work. So that means if you are working on a Sunday, you have to be off on that Sunday. And what that also tells you, if this is the morrow after the Shabbat, how does the Christian church have Pentecost on Sunday every year? If they consider the Shabbat to be a Sunday, wouldn't their Pentecost be Monday? See, they know when the Shabbat is, and they're trying to still somewhat keep it, but they won't tell you when the Shabbat actually is. So somebody's playing a game there. If you have Pentecost on the same day as us, and our Shabbat is a Saturday, the 7th day of the week, and your Shabbat is a Sunday, the 1st day of the week, somebody not saying something. So again, this is a holy convocation You are not permitted to work. You're supposed to put in for that day. If you're able to, and take that day off and relax. It's a party. It's a feast. Just like people take off for 4th of July and New Year and all that. You're supposed to take off for his holy days and celebrate with your nation and celebrate his days. All right, verse 22. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not make clean riddance of the corners of your field when you reap. Neither shall you gather any gleaning of the harvest. You shall leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. So what does this have to do with the holy days? Yah is telling you his righteousness, his welfare system is injected inside of his holy. This is his appointed time. So your appointed time of harvest is to leave for the poor, to leave for the stranger. That's your appointed time. So Yah has his appointed times, and he says, this is what you're supposed to do. And he's telling you, when you have the harvest of your land, don't wax your whole field. Leave something for your people, the corners, the outside of your field, so the stranger can have that. So translate into now, we don't have fields, most of us, but we do go to work. We do get paychecks, or we do have our own businesses, and we do make money. That means the corner of your money is supposed to be left for the poor and the stranger. So it says poor and the stranger. That means when you see an Israelite poor person out there, you feed them, right? Yeah, you give them some money. You help them if you can. And some of us will say, oh, well, that's not my nation. I'm going to keep it moving, right? Nah, it's say for the poor and the stranger. So you're supposed to have compassion to any human being, not just your own people, but your people first. Glory and honor to the Jew first, and then to the Gentile. So it's an order. But you help anybody you can help. Yah is a God of the Jews and the Gentiles. All right, so Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 23. So here's the next trumpet, the next season, trumpets. And just like we said, each holy day represents a timeline in history of Yasharal, a season in Yasharal. We are currently in the season of Pentecost, which is the church period, where the Holy Spirit is here, and people have a chance through Mashiach to get forgiveness and to learn during this grace period. Well, the next season, which we're getting ready to get into, is the Feast of Trumpets. Verse 23. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, you shall have a Shabbat, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. So here they're saying on the 7th month, on the 1st day, is trumpets, teruah, trumpets. And we have a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and it's a holy convocation. Again, it's a Kodesh Mikra. But now here's the question. We have certain Hebrews that treat new month, or what they call it new moon, as a holy convocation. That's not a holy convocation. That's an appointed time. You're supposed to gather on that day and mark that day, but it's not a holy convocation. If it was always a holy convocation, the 1st of every month, then there would be no need to say, have a holy convocation on the 1st day of the 7th month. It would already be a holy convocation. You would just say, hey, have a memorial blowing of trumpets. You already know it's a holy convocation. So that just lets you know that the new month is not a holy convocation. You can work on the new month. Verse 25, you shall do no servile work therein in the Feast of Trumpets, in the 1st day of the 7th month, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Verse 26. Actually, okay, let's go back to the calendar. So we didn't look that up. So let's go back to our calendar. Stop the share. Let's mark that date. So that's an easy one. All you have to do is look for the 7th new month. All right, pull the calendar back up. Let's go ahead and share that. All right, so We look at our holy day calendar, the 7th month is going to be September the 13th. So September the 13th is your new month. So you're going to go to your calendar. Remember, we learned how to calculate the new months, and your new month for the 7th month is September the 13th. So that's an easy holy day to find. So mark that date. Tuesday night, September the 13th, the 4th day of the week. That is going to be your Yom Teruah, your Feast of Trumpets, Tuesday the 13th. So that's important because you're going to need that to now count the other holy days that happen in the 7th month. And if you look at how the year is broken, it's broken in half. That's why the word Shana means a doubling or to fold or flip, because the year is split in half. You have the beginning of the year on the 10th day of the 1st month. When we get into Pesach, we see that we're supposed to get that Passover lamb. That's when you actually collect the lamb. And then now, as we get into atonement, on the 10th day of the 7th month, we're collecting a lamb again. But then on the 14th day of the 1st month, you have your Pesach, with the 15th being your feast. And then you'll see in the 7th month, you're going to see that same pattern duplicated. So again, September the 13th, Tuesday night, that is the beginning of your 7th month. So go ahead and mark that down on your calendar. That is your Feast of Trumpets. That means that Wednesday the 14th is a Sabbathon. You would take that day off if you work during the daytime. If you work at night, you would take that Tuesday night off. All right, so let's go to the next set of holy days. Well, not the next set, the next holy day in the 7th month. Verse 26. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement, Kapharim, or Yom Kippur, a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you, and you shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. So if you're afflicting your soul, you don't say, hey, you know what? I'm really upset. I'm going to afflict myself. I'm disappointed. Let me go cook a 7-course meal. That's not afflicting your soul. That's feeling good. That's what you're supposed to do on a feast day. This is not a feast day. This is appointed time, appointed date, but it's not a feast day. It's not one of the 3 feasts that we have throughout the year. There's another feast in this month, but it's not the feast day. So you're supposed to afflict your souls on the 10th day of that 7th month. So let's go back to our calendar again. All right, so let's find our calendar. Somebody being Speedy McNeedy over there with the calendar. I don't know what I just did, how I just lost everything that I had. I must have hit, there we go. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and share that. So we said September 13th, Tuesday night, that's Yom Teruah, that's trumpets. So that's the 1st day of the 7th month. So the 10th day of the 7th month is the holiest day of year, the Day of Atonement. So you have Tuesday the 13th, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Thursday night, the 22nd, is your atonement. Actually, wait a minute, I messed that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Thursday night is your Day of Atonement, the 22nd. So you're going to afflict yourself all day, all night of the 22nd, and all daytime of the 23rd. You will take off the 23rd. And as the sun goes down to go into the Shabbat, that's when your fast will end. And it's kind of interesting how YAH set that up, because he set it up that you're going into a Shabbat. So you're not going to go run out and go buy this huge 10-course meal. You're going to keep it with your family. You're getting ready to go into a Shabbat. So you're going to go into a rest after you just did a fast. You're going to get to go into a feast day after you had a fast. So atonement starts Thursday, September 22nd at night. You'll be fasting a whole day. It's called the Day of Atonement. The 22nd at night and all daytime of the 23rd. And as nightfall comes, that's when you get off of your fast. So that's the 10th day. So if you circle Thursday the 22nd, that night starts your 10th day. All right, so that's the holiest day of the year. And why is that the holiest day of the year? It's holy because YAH said for us to bring all of our sin for the year to him. Just acknowledge it. Just come before him and apologize. And he's going to wipe it clean. So the entire nation, if we're fasting and coming before YAH on his appointed time, this is the cleanest we'll ever be as a nation. It's almost like if everybody got baptized or immersed at the same day, like when we went through the Red Sea. All right, so let's get back into the scripts. So again, verse 28. And you shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before Yahweh your Elohim. So it's at one mint, atonement. We are all coming at one, Akkad. Verse 29. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. So that's why, you got people turning around saying they're going to feed the poor on atonement. This the one day he not supposed to eat, so he can go before the Father with his sins and try to maybe get himself out of his situation. You going to try to feed a hungry man on that day? That's not right. Even Yahweh Shah himself said, listen, the poor are going to be with you always. Ain't he going to be hungry the day after? Wasn't he hungry the day before? So you don't feed people on those days. This is a day for him to go. If you're going to go out, talk to him, talk about him coming before the Father and confessing his sins. Maybe that could change his life. But you don't feed him. You feed him on 363 other days of the year. You can feed him. You want to pick the one day that you can't feed somebody to go feed the hungry. From my understanding, that's just somebody that wants to go ahead and eat on the Day of Atonement themselves. So they try to mask it by doing some kind of deed. But that's just my opinion. I'm going to read that again, verse 29. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people. So isn't the homeless person, don't he already feel cut off? You want to get him cut off even further? Verse 30. And whatsoever soul it be that does any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Now, this is YAH. I ain't adding no sauce on this. That's his words. I respect his words. Verse 31. You shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever. How long? Forever. Throughout your generations, just in Israel? No, in all your dwellings. So this is stuff that we have to do even in captivity. To the best of your ability, that's all you can do. To the best of your ability. Verse 32. It shall be a Sabbath of Sabbathon. So they're saying this is like a Sabbath of the Sabbathon. So this is like the rest of the rests. And they put Sabbath of rest, but the word would be a Shabbat of Sabbathon. This is like the Sabbath of rests, the Sabbath of holy days. And you shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month, between even, from even unto even, you shall celebrate your Shabbat. So that's just letting you know, as the 9th day is turning into the 10th and that in-between time, that's when you're going to start. So your 10 is a full Shabbat, a full feast, fast. So that's why it's saying the 9th day at even. So you don't got people that say, oh, I'm just going to fast at night. Who don't fast? Everybody fast at night. You go to sleep, you ain't eating. That's why when you wake up in the morning, it's called breakfast. Break fast. So now you can't slick your way out of that. It's a whole day fast. And you'll be all right. It's actually good for you. All right, so you had your 10th day of the month being your feast, being your day of atonement. So verse 33. And this is the last set of the holy days, the feast of Tabernacles, Sukkah. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be the feast of Tabernacles, Sukkah, for 7 days unto Yahweh. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. So again, the 15th day, you're having a 7-day feast. So it's just like in unleavened bread. On the first month, on the 15th day, you're having a 7-day feast. So from the 15th through the 21st, 7-day feast. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. You should do no servile work therein. So that is a Sabbathon. You're to take that day off. 7 days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. And on the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you. You shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and you shall do no servile work therein. So you have the 7 days from the 15th to the 21st of the 7th month. You have your Feast of Booths. And then on 8th day, the last great day, he's making that a Sabbathon, just like the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles. So let's look at that on our calendar again. Let's pull up the calendar so we can mark these dates. And, every year that you do this, you get a little better at it. You get a little more familiar. You start to count it a little bit better. So September 13th, Tuesday, September the 13th, again, that is the beginning of your 7th month. So you're going to go to the 15th day of the 7th month. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, atonement. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So Tuesday, September 27th, that is your Sukkah, your Feast of Tabernacles, Hag Sukkah or Hagag Sukkah. So September 27th, that means if you work in the daytime, Wednesday the 28th, you have to take off from work because it's a holy convocation, no servile work. So that would start Tuesday the 27th at night. So if you work nights, Tuesday night, you'd be off because that's your first day. So you have 7 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the 8th day, the last great day, Tuesday, October 4th. That is going to be your last day of your Feast of Sukkah, your Feast of Tabernacles. So that is another holy convocation and solemn assembly. We got to come together on that day. So that is your last holy day of the year. And from that day on, you don't have any more of YAH's appointed times. You have Israel's appointed times. You have Purim, and then you have at the end of December, you have in February after that, you have your Purim, and then in December you have your Hanukkah, your Feast of Dedication. But those were not YAH's appointed times. Those are Israel's appointed times. Those are like national holidays. That's for us. That's our culture. If we can celebrate graduation for somebody, or we can celebrate a birthday, or we can celebrate, a wedding anniversary, then surely you can celebrate momentous moments in Israel's history where our leadership voted that this should be a day that we celebrate. But nobody can rebuke you for not keeping those days because Yah did not appoint those days. So these are Yah's holy days. So I hope that you marked your calendar. If you need to have questions on it, then you can definitely reach out to us. Also want to give a special shout out to all the brothers and sisters that came out to Kodesh Fresh, Kodesh Kingdom new store in Little 5 Points. We had an awesome grand opening, man. We had a lot of brothers support. We had a lot of brothers come from out of town. Shout out to brother Brandon Pierce and his lovely wife Isha for coming through to the store. Shout out to Congregation Yasharal for coming out. Shout out to Israel by Blood for coming out. Shout out to Augustus, the Defenders of the Throne, for coming out. We really appreciate all the brothers from the different, a lot of the members of the camp for coming out and supporting the store. This is really big for us. We had several other Hebrew businesses that came out. Shout out to Yasha Lifestyles. Shout out to Get Body Sculpted for coming out, selling goods. Everybody was out there. Since we own the booth, then we have free reign to set up our product outside. And this is the highest traffic area in Atlanta. So this is big for our nation. So if you have a business as well, holler at us. If we can squeeze you in, we can get your product in the store, or we can get you out selling with us, we'll definitely do that, because this is for our nation. This is about us having a stronger hold financially and in the market, producing our own goods. Shout out to Hebrews Black Coffee for coming out, Lion Tribe for coming out, Savior Word of Yah as usual, Royal House Publishing for coming out with the books, just all the brothers coming out and supporting, Grandma Dots, so shout out to my brother Darius and his consulting agency that came out. Really good to see all the Black businesses coming out to support. So if you're ever in the area, come holler at us. We're usually there from Wednesday on. We're at 1130 Euclid Ave, which is Atlanta, Georgia, 30307. So that's Little 5 Points. We're on the corner of Euclid and Coquit. So thank y'all for joining us. Mark your calendars. Again, PSOC is coming up. And, you see a lot of people have different dates, and that's all right. We're all trying to practice this thing. Every man must work out his salvation with fear and trembling. This ministry has gone through extensive research to be the most accurate we can possibly be. And there's no guarantees, but what we are is coming together. So if you have a feast day that's a different day and your brother invites you, go celebrate with him. He's celebrating our culture. But you just make sure you set apart the days that you know best so that you got it covered. But go celebrate with your brother. It's not a division. It's not a dividing point between us. Let's not let the devil divide us. So that's all we're going to do today. Yah's will, we'll see you for Shabbat. Y'all be safe.